Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Damn it. Hey, testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Hi everyone and welcome to week 5 of Lucid Dreaming 101. I'm Crashu, your instructor, and this week we're going to be covering dream stabilization. Basically, dream stabilization is just things you can do once you become lucid to ensure that you stay in the lucid dream longer. As some of you have already experienced, and some of you hopefully haven't experienced, but most likely you will at some point, the dream can start to fade. It cannot be very high quality. For instance, your vision will start to black out or it'll be very blurry if your dreams are only lasting for a few seconds. That's what dream stabilization is for. They're just techniques to allow you to stay in the dream longer and to have a more vivid and sensory experience of the dream. So the first thing you got to be aware of when it comes to dream stabilization is your emotions. And this is one of the main reasons why it just takes experience with lucid dreaming in order to last longer in your lucid dreams. Any kind of extreme emotion, doesn't matter whether it's fear, happiness, anger, anything, it's known to wake you up sometimes from your dreams. Of course, the expectation that's going to make you wake up is half the problem as well. But one of the biggest problems is new lucid dreamers, they get lucid, they're all excited that they got lucid, and that excitement usually causes them to wake up. So pretty much anything when it comes to emotions, you really have to learn to keep your emotions in check. Any kind of way you have of monitoring, of mediating your emotions somehow, trying to control them, you can use like some kind of relaxation technique if you want to in the dream. Personally though, from my own experience, it's just something you learn. Nowadays when I become lucid, when I originally became lucid, I'd be like, whoa, I'm lucid, I gotta do this, and I gotta do this, and I gotta do that. And then I'd start panicking when the dream started going to black or started getting blurry, and then that panic made it even worse. And so it just comes down to experience. I eventually learned, okay, I'm lucid, but now I need to do the right things to ensure that I can stay in the lucid. I wasn't so concentrated on the fact that, oh my god, I'm lucid. And then on top of that, you got to testing. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then on top of that, what you also have to deal with is the fact that you can, when the dream starts to get blurry, when it starts to go dark or something like that, and you feel like the dream's fading, that panic itself causes you to wake up. So you have to learn that, you know what, if the dream fades, it's okay, I'm going to get lucid at another point. You can't think, oh my god, I might not never get lucid again or something like that. Or, oh no, this fade. You have to really concentrate on not panicking, and oftentimes the dream will restore itself, especially when you use these stabilization techniques. So really concentrate on your emotions and learn to control them better in your dreams. I just got to say most of that's going to happen with practice, but some people might have an easier time controlling their emotions than others. So now into actual techniques to prolong the dream and to keep it going. Whenever the dream feels like it's fading, whenever it's slipping away, there's a technique called dream spinning. And what you do is you just spin your dream body around and around and around and around for a few seconds. And it's supposed to restore the entire dream and bring a much more vivid and sensory experience to the dream. This was a technique recommended by Stephen LaBerge, and a lot of people like this technique. The downside to this technique, though, is that from my experiences and from others, it can have the reverse effect and sometimes can wake you up as well. According to LaBerge, it was one of the more effective methods, but my experience and the experience of others, it's not really one of the more effective methods. It's kind of iffy. For the most part, though, you can actually use dream spinning. Instead of trying to stabilize the dream, you can use it to do certain things in the dream. For instance, you start spinning, you picture the location you want to be at, and once you stop, you're there. It's kind of like a teleportation device in a dream. So dream spinning has multiple uses for that, and we'll talk more about its potential for dream control when it comes to next week for dream control. But otherwise, just spinning around in your dream can help to stabilize it and bring it back when everything feels like it's dark and going out. But it's risky. You have to experiment with it. If you do it and it works for you, great. Keep doing it. It's going to really help. But if it doesn't work for you after a few times, then you probably don't want to keep trying it. Next thing you want to do, you want to activate all five senses. And what this means is when you're in a dream, usually your first sense that you're seeing really is your sight. And then after that, maybe hearing. But even when I become lucid, I'm never focused on sounds unless I'm purposely doing something in the dream that would normally have a sound. Uh, so then you got smell, you got taste, and you got touch. And these are a lot of things that I think some people forget about in a dream, but you can experience all five of these just like you do in real life in your dream. And when you have all five senses alive in your dream, the dream becomes extremely vivid, obviously, and it lasts longer. It's a more secure dream. I think I gave an example a while back in this course of a dream where I was licking the blinds, and what I was doing there was, well, it was kind of weird, but in a dream, it's a dream, so whatever. I was licking the blinds, just trying to lick whatever was in sight, and that was pretty much the only item besides the wall to lick. So I was trying to activate my sense of taste, and I was trying to activate my sense of smell because I've been trying to smell the blinds too. Um, Definitely your sense of touch after your sense of vision is probably going to be the most important thing to activate. And then your sense of hearing. Smell and taste aren't as important, but if you get those two activated, you're probably going to have a very, very vivid dream. I've heard from a couple sources, but it's just hearsay. There's nothing that I know of that proves this or disproves this. But when the dream starts to fade, it kind of goes backwards from the senses. So when you normally get, for instance, when you normally start a lucid dream, you can see. I mean, that's kind of obvious, or at least you can see black or something. Then usually you can hear something or feel something with your hands or something like that. So hearing and touch are kind of the next two senses that come alive in the dream. And very few people actually think about smelling and tasting unless they're actually doing something in the dream where they'd be purposely trying to smell and taste something. And smell in general, I think, is the hardest one for people to have in a dream. So, based off of what I've heard from just a couple people, the senses kind of start, when the dream starts fading, the senses kind of remove themselves from the dream in a backwards order. So, first you lose your sense of smell, then your sense of taste, then either your sense of hearing or touch, and then the other one, and then finally your vision starts to fade. So, by the time your vision's starting to fade, that's when you know you're really losing hold of the dream. That's when you really got to do a lot of dream stabilization techniques to bring yourself back into the dream. This is probably one of the most effective techniques. It was definitely one of the most effective when I started out, and I see people recommend this everywhere. Rub your hands together in the dream. Just rub your dream hands together. Just keep rubbing them together no matter what you're doing. I mean, obviously, at a certain point, you might want to do things with your hands besides rubbing them, and you don't have to keep doing that. But anytime the dream starts to fade, rub your hands together and keep rubbing them. It really brings the vividness back to the dream and helps you to stabilize the dream. It's such an essential technique to have. So rub your hands together constantly as much as you can, even when you're not trying to stabilize the dream, and you're going to have usually a better dream. Another thing that I found from personal experience, I don't know how many other people have this, but for me, keep moving. And what it is in a lot of my lucid dreams, constantly probably every few seconds, sometimes every few minutes, depends on the lucid dream quality of the dream. Um, Things start to fade to black. I can't see anything for a few seconds. All I do is first of all, I'm usually rubbing my hands at some point, but I keep moving as well. I keep walking towards something. Like if I'm in my bedroom in the lucid dream, I know where my door is instinctively, so I just keep walking towards the door even though I can't see anything, and eventually the dream starts to come back. If I just stand still and try to just rub my hands, that doesn't work. I end up waking up. If I rub my hands and start moving and doing something, if I wave my hand around in the air, or at least run, walk, jump, do something, it brings the dream back to life. Try to activate your entire dream body, and you'll find that that seems to bring yourself more into the dream and stabilize it better. This is another technique that is really popular for people. It doesn't work for me, but it works for others. Uh, it's called the Lucid Pill, and basically all you do is you reach into like a pocket or a drawer or anything that you can find that you can take something out of, and you simply take a pill out of it. You just expect the pill to be there. The pill's there. You take the pill out, you swallow the pill, and the pill's special ability is it allows you to have a higher quality lucid dream that lasts a long time. And it's simply working on the expectation of your beliefs. For a lot of people, this works really well. For me, I have a hard time summoning the pill in the first place. We'll talk about summoning in next week in dream control, by the way. And secondly, swallowing the pill is super hard for me. And thirdly, even when I do, it doesn't do anything for me. So it depends on the person. If this works for you, though, this is an extremely effective method, and it will stabilize your dream and also allow you to have a higher quality, longer lasting dream. Another method that's really popular, shouting slash commanding. You just shout out at the dream. Stabilize dream. Uh, Become vivid. Uh, Whatever. Command the dream to be whatever you want it to be just by shouting out the command. This works for a lot of people. Again, for me, it's kind of I mean, when I try to think about my lucid dreams I've had, I use the shouting technique a lot, but for me it doesn't really help. Uh, I still continue to use it though, because once in a while it does help a little bit. For other people, it helps all the time. For me, shouting, commanding, I'm more of a willpower guy in my dreams, and you'll understand this the more you have the lucid dreams, and we'll probably touch on it next week for dream control. But as far as doing things in my dreams goes, it's usually more in my head what I can do. I don't need to have a jetpack to fly. I just choose that I want to fly and I fly. I don't have to say I can fly out loud in the dream. I just think I want to fly and I fly. I'm a little bit more willpower. I'm more up in my mind. If I think it, I can do it. Which it's not as simple as it sounds for me. There's a lot of things I have struggled doing in the dream with dream control. It's just my type of dream control oftentimes revolves around willpower. So that's why shouting and commanding doesn't always work for me. Other people are going to find that shouting and commanding is the way that they can express that kind of willpower, their expectation, their belief on the dream, and that will allow them to stabilize the dream and get a better dream. And the final thing we're going to touch on here is singing. And I tried this only once or twice because usually I forget to do it in the middle of trying to do all the other techniques. But it's an interesting idea. I don't know how well it would work. I've heard maybe a couple of people really use it, but people don't usually use this for dream stabilization. Uh, Basically, you just once you get lucid, you just start to sing, and I think the idea is kind of it just roots you in the dream. It's not only it's activating your ability to hear and everything, but it seems like it just kind of brings more of a vividness and a life to the dream. So I think singing is worth a try. I've tried it a couple times, and it seems like for the duration of your singing, the dream gets better. I just thought it was an interesting dream stabilization technique that to present to you guys. It's kind of an alternative. Maybe if you're having issues with the other ones, I think this one could work really well. And so that's pretty much it for dream stabilization. There's plenty of other techniques I'm sure that people have invented out there and that people use, and you can find on the forums and everything. I'll link a really excellent article on dream stabilization at the for the official week 5 post. That one's on LD for all, and it's a really long one. It's called like Dream Control Training Course or something like that. But it really it's more dealing with how to stabilize the dream and how to get a higher quality, better lucid dream. It's really long. You don't have to look at it or anything. But if you really want to know more about dream stabilization or ways to get the dream to be more vivid, more sensory, to last longer. It's a really, really, really good article to look at. And that's pretty much it for this week. I know it's kind of short and not a lot of stuff to talk about, but that's kind of the point of this course. In the beginning, there's a lot more information to talk about, and as we go on, I purposely made the course longer so that you had more time to learn to lucid dream and do stuff like that. Because lucid dreaming just takes time. You can't just learn all the stuff and then try to go into it. So it just takes time. That's why I've extended the course out like I have instead of combining for, say, dream stabilization and dream control. I decided to separate them so that you have those extra weeks to continue to try to get lucid, to understand what it feels like to be lucid, and how to use the techniques and other things. So your homework, you should, like always, you should be continuing your dream journal. You should always be doing at least 2 reality checks a day, but you can do as many as you want. If you can, obviously keep up with the dream analysis like we've talked about. And like I said, if mild is really that uncomfortable, you don't have to keep up with mild, but otherwise you should always be trying to do mild all the time. And depending on your life and your schedules and the way it just works for you, wake back to bed and wild, I highly suggest continuing to try to do at least once or twice a week. But if you don't have the time or that technique just doesn't work for you, don't worry about it. You don't have to do it. Um, but I would highly suggest doing it if you do have the time and if it seems like it might be a good fit for you at some point. However, that's not your only homework this week. I decided to get a little bit creative this week and experiment, I guess, a little bit. So I'm going to give you guys a homework assignment to draw one of your dreams or to write a story based off of one of your dreams. Preferably a lucid dream you have during this course, but it doesn't have to be a lucid dream. It can just be any normal dream that's really memorable to you. Uh, this is going to help you it's kind of like dream journaling, just a little bit more vivid, I guess, but it's also just for fun and so that the class can interact with each other a little bit and have some fun. So if you're not an artist, if you're not a writer, that's okay. I mean, you don't have to do this homework assignment. If you feel uncomfortable drawing something or writing something from one of your dreams, I understand that too. Some people aren't that comfortable with sharing anything from their dreams. But otherwise, I think it would be really fun if you guys could draw something that really inspired you from one of your dreams or write something about it, or if you have some kind of other artistic outlet that you like to do, that's fine too. You can post links or the stories or whatever it is that you did in the official week 5 post. If it's NSFW, then please mark it as so. If it's a story or something that's written instead of like a link to a photo, and it's NSFW, please put it in there just as a link to another area where it's written, like, well, like a blog or something like that, or a dream journal thing on one of the dream journal sites. Uh, so that's basically it for this week. You guys just really need to try to practice the dream stabilization if you're able to get lucid. It's going to really help to prolong the lucids for you. If you guys have questions, please ask in the week 5 question and answer forum. There's plenty of techniques out there. If you have a question about a technique or you have your own idea for a technique, you can feel free to ask about it, how valid it is, whether it's a good idea, whether it just seems stupid. Uh, and hopefully you guys can, or at least a few of you at least, will have some fun with the homework for this week of some kind of artistic creation from your dreams. Yep, so that's it. Have a good week and good luck getting lucid. Boom, boom, boom.